Good evening and welcome to Current Affair. I'm Jasmine Clissold and I will be discussing the Qantas Dispute, which took place in 2011. Qantas Airlines was forced to ground all planes on October 29th after employees went on strike for job security, wage increase, and employment conditions. This was due to the airline announcing its intentions to launch its airline industry in Asia. Qantas Airlines was up against the Transport Workers Union, the Australian and International Pilots Association, and the Australian Licensed Engineers Union. These unions enforce the strike as they represent engineers, pilots, ground staff, and baggage handlers. The Australian Licensed Engineers Union and Australian and International Pilots Association had been in negotiations with Qantas Airlines since August 2010, while the Transport Workers Union had been in negotiations since May 2011. However, the dispute between employees and an employer occurred as it became public word that jobs were being sent offshore. The union stepped in to ensure this wouldn't affect employees as well as to improve their current employment conditions. They demanded for same pay and conditions for company pilots flying Jetstar as for those flying long-haul Qantas international routes. 2 free-of-charge international economy tickets each year, in addition to already heavily discounted airfares for them and their families, and at the expense of paying customers. For jobs to be kept in Australia in regards of manufacturing, and a 3% increase in wages. Fair Work Australia was brought into action, and they determined that Qantas and the 3 unions that were involved with the dispute should terminate all industrial action, as it was not only affecting the company, but the tourism industry of Australia. Fair Work Australia awarded the parties in the dispute a period of 21 days in which to try to negotiate settlements. The parties were obliged to engage in bargaining in good faith. While going on strike for these demands, it also created multiple issues in regard to travellers, tourism, reputation of the company as well as company profits, industrial trade, and the economy of Australia. 70,000 passengers were affected due to the lockout and strike as 108 aircrafts were grounded around the world. This caused displacement and forced them to fly with competing airlines. It delayed their schedule and left an impression on the reliability of Qantas. This affected the tourism industry, both international and domestic, as well as economic profit, which had to be refunded to customers. Qantas also said it would reimburse accommodation costs. The Qantas dispute had caused damage to the tourism and aviation industries, as well as its company name. They are trashing our strategy and our brand. They are deliberately destabilizing the company and there is no end in sight. A comment by Alan Joyce stating how the strike changed the company's reputation. Fair Work Australia stepped in and terminated industrial action to prevent further damage to the tourism and aviation industry. Grounding aircrafts had costed the company $70 million in damages, with costs increasing at $15 million a week. Each day onwards it was costing $20 million. Qantas said the extensive industrial action taken by its 3 labour unions cost the airline $194 million in total. The tourism industry, including aviation, was estimated as contributing 2.6% to GDP and inbound tourism at $24 million per year. Due to the dispute, it affected the economy of Australia as GDP was decreased. The government called for action and Fair Work Australia under Section 4241D obliged to terminate protected action as it caused significant damage to the Australian economy. The lawfulness of actions within the dispute were legal as unions and employees gave notice of their strike. Employers, although called for lockout without large notice, did so to protect customers and the company's name. Qantas's image after the dispute was damaged as a number of customers chose to fly with competing airlines due to unreliability. Qantas lost $56 million through loss of customer loyalty. In 2012, Qantas then announced a restructure of routes which made an initial 500 positions redundant. Today, no change to industrial relation laws have been changed or altered. Fair Work Australia took action under multiple sections to terminate industrial action between Qantas and unions. These sections were a justifiable way of resolving the dispute. A recommendation from Adam Brandt MP was to introduce a bill to put job security at the heart of the Fair Work Act and prevent employers from using Qantas-style lockouts as an industrial tactic. This would prevent similar situations from occurring in the future. Furthermore, a complaint department should be implemented to increase awareness of issues between employer and employees. This is Current Affair, and I'm Jasmine Clissold. Thank you and good night.